Hello, 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 everybody. I hope you guys can hear me. I am, of course, per usual, having technical difficulties, but we're going to keep it going. Thank you for joining me for my podcast. I swear I'm an introvert. I am your host, Lindsey Evans, serial entrepreneur and owner of Heels to Sneakers. Go check out our website, www.heels2sneakers.net. We come up with some uplifting and funny information to help push women to show up in the full capacity of their purpose. To walk in your purpose, it will take you out of your comfort zone. People always try to fit you into a box, and for some of us, it just doesn't work. We always see the person and the purpose, but we never see their process. As for me, I'm an introvert. This podcast is to celebrate talented and successful African American women business owners who have evolved from their comfort zones while beating the odds against the rules society uses to force us into a box. Please welcome today's guest, the amazing Patricia Mell. And my Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We got it. Yes. Guys, y'all don't understand. I have been having issues today and everything is just working seamlessly. So I can really appreciate that. Okay, I met Miss Patricia at an event and she was one of the speakers and I immediately fell in love. I said, oh my gosh, she is Black Girl Magic all wrapped up in one. And I'll let her introduce herself, but she's an attorney. She does a lot. And I was just so amazed when they introduced her. I was like, oh my gosh, she's just like me. She does so much. So I'm just honored to have you today. And I know that everybody watching is gonna get a treat also, just to, hear you give us some of your insight and your wisdom and your nuggets to help us all keep going. So tell us about yourself.
Well, it's interesting. First of all, thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here. There's no pressure, of course, adding nuggets, etc. But I was particularly intrigued by how you started the conversation talking about being out of your comfort zones, because one of the phrases that I have always relied on is the one that says that life begins at the end of your comfort zone.
Wow.
And there's so many things that have happened over the years that you kind of have to, yeah, it does.
Wow.
Everyone has talents. And the question is whether or not you are brave enough to take the step to use the talents. It helped a lot that I had very supportive parents.
Oh, good.
A bit about myself. I'm one of three. I had an older brother and a younger brother, so I was the only girl and had to fend for myself between the two of them. But it taught me a great deal about how to deal with men on the same level. But more importantly, I think that what it did teach is that you can compete. You're able to compete. All you have to do is to have faith in yourself. A lot of people think that I've gotten to where I am in a straight line. And when you asked me the question, I realized I haven't. I zigged and zagged a lot before I came to this. So I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I went to Cleveland Public Schools, college, came back to Cleveland for law school. When I was in college, I thought I wanted to be a journalist. And so I worked on the school newspaper and I did all of these things, preparing myself to get an internship to be a journalist. So my senior year, I had interviews with all the big newspapers from the Washington Post and the Boston Globe. I was on my way. Well, I didn't get any of those jobs. Not a single offer came through. And so So I had to really think about whether I wanted it badly enough to move forward without having those internships. And I was honest with myself enough to say no. But what was I going to do? Because my parents said, okay, we paid for your college, but you got to get a job. So what are you
Mhm.
going to do? So I said, okay, I'll go to law school because um,
Uh,
I liked it. I said, okay, I'll go to law school. And it really was one of the best things I ever did. I cannot say that I loved law school, but it taught me a great deal about how to think, about being secure, about being able not only to stand up for myself, but also to stand up for a client.
mhm.
Um, you see a lot of, when you see people as a lawyer, you see them at their worst. They're scared, they're angry. They may or may not have a case, but you have to be able to talk with them, make them believe that you are in fact on their side, but that sometimes you're going to tell them some hard facts,
Right.
um, to really help them make it through whatever it is they're going through. So I was a trial attorney, assistant attorney general for the state of Ohio for a while. I protected wills and trusts and charitable foundations and made sure that the testator's will was in fact followed after their death and made sure that the money went to where it was supposed to go. I
Mm.
also did large consumer class actions. And dating myself, this is when the consumer protection laws were coming in. So I had the opportunity really to establish some laws with respect to that and help people so that they would not be, um, you know, pressured into doing things, buying contracts, or assist them when they found out that they were defrauded. So I
Mhm.
was able I learned a lot by doing that. Again, by doing the kinds of things that assisted them, by being able to step back and be objective about the merits of their case, but also having the compassion to understand the stresses they were in, but
Mhm.
also to be honest with them about the situation that they were in. Because
Yeah.
sometimes people would say, well, it's the principle of the thing. Okay. Because sometimes the principle, you're just mad at them and you want to get back at them. And
That's it.
yes, we can do that. Is that the best use of your time and money? And what do you really want to get out of this at the end? So helping them see beyond just the immediate and think about what they wanted to do at the end of that. So I learned a great deal with respect to that. Um, I then went to the Corporations Counsel office in the state of Ohio, and this is the office that manages all of the business transactions. So um, any kinds of corporate filings or
Mhm.
paper filings that had to be done for a variety of reasons all came through the office. So this was my first time really being a manager, and I was fairly young. I was 30 at the time. This
Yeah.
was a large department. There were 60 people in it. And, you know, it was a political appointment. It was my first political appointment.
Yeah.
And as the corporation's counsel, the staff, they had seen corporations counsels come, they had seen them go because political appointment. And
Right.
so through them, however, I learned how to build a team and to get them to do their best work. And that was really, I think, one of the best jobs I ever had was working with them. They knew a lot more about the filings than I did,
Yeah.
but I knew how to get things organized and how to modernize them because this is, okay, again, not dating myself.
Dating it.
This was when all of those files were paper. And so we had to transition the paper to an electronic format.
Oh
And
wow.
it took everyone's work together to be able to pull that off.
Mhm.
In a staff that's as large as that, you have little fiefdoms, little groups, but you had to get everybody to work together. So I think I grew a lot in that
Yes,
position
sir.
to
Yeah.
do that. Well, at that point, again, it was a political appointment and the political winds were changing. So I had to find a job.
Mhm.
Um, and that's that's it. It's not a straight line. I mean, I never
Like
expected to
it's
be a manager, I, you know, but, but I have to say that one of the things that, and I think Helen Keller actually said this,
Mm.
that sometimes when a door closes, you shouldn't spend so much time looking at the closed door that you don't see the open one behind you.
Behind you.
And so I think that you really have to take that to heart.
Yeah.
That you may think that this is the best job, this is the only job I can ever have, I have to have this job, but you don't get it. So what are you going to do now? Well, the Lord will open a door for you
Yeah.
if you just listen and pay attention to where that door is and walk
Mhm.
through it when the opportunity is provided. So, I mean, that's kind of a continuous thing that, as you say, you're outside your comfort zone. I've done X for all these years. Can I possibly take a door into a room where I don't know what's in there? Is this going to be the best thing for me? And so, in a lot of respects, it's a matter of having the faith
Yeah.
that if you take the chance and do your best, that it will turn out to be something positive. So I was a law professor for several years. And at some point, the deans were changing at the law school. And I said, I think I could do that job. Let me go talk to the dean.
I think I can be
And
a
so
dean.
I couldn't why did I say it's no? So I walked in and I said, I'd be interested in an associate dean position if one came open. And he said, well, close the door. Okay. So I got
Okay.
up and closed it. And turns out that one of the associate deans was leaving. So he said, okay, so there you go. Let's try that. So I did that and I liked the job. And then another dean came in and I was saying, well, a dean really does need to have their own associate dean, somebody they picked. They should. So what was I going to do? I said, well, no, I'll apply for a deanship. All they can do is say no.
All they could do is say no.
That's all they can say. So I applied for this position and I really did not think I got it. I really did not think I did. I mean, I was the first woman they had ever interviewed and certainly the first Black woman they'd ever interviewed. So I figured I wasn't going to get it. And I was actually visiting in another law school when the chair of the program said, are you still interested? It's like, still interested in what? He says, well, are you still interested in the deanship? Oh, okay. So I took that job. Okay. So it was a big job. It was fabulous for the time that I was there. I learned a great deal, again, on how to build a team. I think we accomplished some wonderful things there, but it was time to go. I mean, my father had gotten ill,
Okay.
and my mother had died. My father was there alone. My older brother didn't want to do it anymore. I mean, how fathers and sons, they just kind of,
So, yeah.
loggerhead.
Yeah.
So he said, look, can you take him? So my father
Passing
came to live
dad
with
off.
us. Dad came to live with us for a while. And then one of my grandnieces came to live with me for a while
Oh
in
my
junior high
goodness.
school. So then when she went home and my father had died by that point, it was sort of, okay, so what now?
Now what?
I really didn't come here with a book of business and I thought it was going to be too difficult to kind of develop one because I wasn't from Chicago.
Right.
So I didn't want to practice law by myself. And quite frankly, I thought I was a little too old to go to a law firm and play law firm politics again. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to work for corporate America again. So what am I going to do? So I had always worked with small businesses. I'd represented small businesses throughout. I'd helped them through a variety of kinds of things. And small businesses were always one heart attack, stroke, divorce away from going out of business because they didn't know how to handle those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I decided, okay, let's do an insurance brokerage. Let's see how this works.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Insurance
I
brokerage.
looked around for a company that I liked, and I liked Aflac. They were a great company, great products. So I did that for a while. It was great. I was a district sales coordinator for it for a while. Loved that. But at some point, it's like you get tired, and I wanted something else.
Something else, yeah.
So COVID, in that respect, was I think very good because it allowed me time to really kind of reflect.
Yeah.
and see what skills did I have, what I want to do now. I really didn't want to just flat out retire. So what was I going to do? And as it turns out, I met my business partner, Deborah Pearson, who was pretty much in the same position. So we came at it from different perspectives. I came at it from representing businesses legally, consulting with them, doing a bit of insurance also. She came at it from the insurance and MBA perspective. But
Okay.
we had a common mind with respect to putting things together for small businesses to really assist them in developing, being able not only to survive, but also to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And so we founded this business, the Sociology. So that's how I got to here.
What a path,
As I said,
what a
not a straight
journey.
line. Not a
I'm
straight
like, what? Then what happened? What?
line.
Isn't that amazing though when we think that you know, this is the path I'm gonna take and all is gonna be right with the world. And then they don't offer you the job. So then you get thrust into your destiny and into your purpose, kicking and
Mhm.
screaming, scared, afraid,
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
and it, then, then there you are. We often talk about, being African American women in power. It comes with its own set of challenges. And I think it's
Mhm.
really important that our little brown girls know that everything is possible. Anything is possible. With God, all things are possible. It may not come as
Mhm.
easy as it would for someone else in a different culture, but
Mhm.
everything is possible. And so for you to, because so that you ended up being the first Black dean, female dean.
Black and black female and black female and well, black and female dean at John Marshall Law School. So I was the second black female dean in the United States, and the first one in 25
Wow.
years to lead a majority law school. So, as I said, each time I was just kind of throwing it out there saying,
Let's
why
see.
not me? I'll try it all they can say no. Um, I can't say that it was comfortable doing that,
Hmm.
but by the same token, if you don't try it,
You never know.
you don't know.
Yeah.
And you have to yourself to make mistakes. You just never know.
That's a big part. Just allowing yourself the grace to make mistakes, know that we're not all perfect. Um, and
Mhm.
sometimes we're gonna mess up. But
Mhm.
there is a recovery. We can rebound from that, and everything will work together for our good. Um, that's a huge accomplishment, by the way. I'm just amazed that you stuck it out. You did it. I know that wasn't easy. It's the time, everything. It just wasn't. It wasn't easy. But today now we have an example of what can happen if we just put it
Mhm.
out there and see. Why not?
And
I'm
see.
qualified.
Mhm.
um, what you said? Law school wasn't like your favorite. Um,
No,
was
it
it
wasn't Paper
different?
Chase. I'm sorry, that movie.
We Did you experience any, I don't want to say discrimination, but discrimination
Oh, come on, you
being a
know
Black
I did.
woman?
Yeah, I mean, one of the difficult things I think for people is to recognize discrimination when it happens. Now, when I was coming up, perhaps people were, shall we say, not so reticent about verbalizing it. And quite
Hmm.
frankly, I think that's an easier way because you need to know. Okay, you're upset. You think that I'm taking up a man's place. Okay, that's fine. Go forth, live. That's fine. Just don't get in my way. Kind of
Okay.
a thing. But I think that I think that it really means that you have to be always prepared. And sometimes the challenges come from places that you don't expect.
Mhm.
Sometimes it can be hurtful, but you have to remember what it is you want to accomplish for yourself. So, sometimes someone who you think should support you won't. And it may not necessarily be personal as much as it is for them. Perhaps they're insecure about it. Perhaps
Mm-hmm.
they really think that they're helping you or they don't want you to get hurt. It may be a lot of those things. You have to take it as for what it is,
Mm-hmm.
but try to remember what you want and need for yourself and be honest with yourself as to whether or not this is what you really want. There's going to be a cost to everything. I mean, I'm sure that there are people at the law school who did not like me and did not want me. Oh, well,
Oh
I'm
well.
here. So, let's kind of keep working on. I mean, you have to keep focused on what's most important to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And those, some people will come over, other people will never come over, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
And that's okay as long as you are doing what you think is best and being honest with yourself about why you're doing things.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that when you become a new manager, you have to kind of sit back and check yourself sometimes. And I'll give you an example. Um, when I first went into the corporation's counsel position, there was a desk outside of my office. And as I said, this is all paper. So remember, they were stacked, and there was all these stacks of paper. They were documents that should have been processed. And they were sitting outside my office. And so I asked the supervisor, I said, so what are these papers here? And she said, well, that desk has always performed that function. I said, okay, so do you mean that desk has always been a filing cabinet? Because we need some new filing cabinets. And she said, oh, no. The person who sat at that desk has always performed that function. And I said, well, isn't she on maternity leave? Well, yes. I said, didn't she just go on maternity leave? Yes. I said, so she's not going to be back for 3 months? Yes. So do you think that the documents can wait until she gets back before we process them? Well, I hadn't thought of that. I said, well,
No.
what do you think we can do? Because my first inclination was to say, does she think I'm crazy? Does she think I'm stupid?
She think I'm
But I said,
stupid.
no, that's not the way to do this. Because I was gonna have to work with this woman. I said, that's not the way to do it. I said, so what do you think we can do to get those documents processed for our customers? Well, I suppose that we could reassign them. That's a wonderful idea. Why don't we do that?
So you made her think that she came up with this brilliant idea to reassign the
Yep.
work.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the kind of thing because, people who knew me in those days said I had a really short fuse.
Oh,
And
okay.
it was like, how dare you insult me with this? And it's like, no, that's not the way to do this. That's not the way to do this. That's not going to work. So by assisting her in seeing that the documents need to be processed and that perhaps we had other staff members that we could distribute it to and make it her idea, it got done and it got done quickly. So again, I think you have to be honest with yourself as to what your triggers are
Mm-hmm.
and understand that they are in fact a trigger and figure out, okay, so what do I do to really get the job done and advance
Mm-hmm.
me? Because me yelling at them was not going to
That wasn't gonna
advance
do it.
me.
Right.
They just say that I'm an angry Black woman. Okay. And that's not going to
They
get me
love
anywhere.
that.
So
They
I may in
love to
fact
put that
be,
on
I may in fact be an angry Black woman,
us.
but they'd never
You
know
won't
it.
know it. Yep.
So, so you just have to understand what's going on, step back and figure out, okay, they're being jerks or they're being, crazy, but we still need to get the job done. I need to get the job done. So what do I need to do? So make the assessment and then go from there. And I'm not saying you're going to be correct all the time.
Right.
Sometimes you do have to be an angry Black woman, but
Yep.
not all the time, not most of the time. So just kind of, figure it out. There you go.
It depends on the learning curve of the person that you're dealing with. They
Yes,
may
it
not be
does.
able to take
It
the
does.
honey.
Well, no, I mean, there are ways. I mean, people talk about it's difficult to fire people. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
You just have to follow the track record. So and so. The first time is just a discussion. Oh, okay. So perhaps you didn't understand. This is what I'm expecting. And how do you think that we can really achieve this? You get them to buy in on the process as to how you're going to make, how they're going to do better. And then if they don't do it now, so and so, we talked about the fact that you wanted to achieve this. And, it doesn't look as if you are making that mark. So how can I assist you in what you said you wanted to achieve? And you keep doing it. They either get the idea or they transfer
What they do.
someplace else because they don't want to be bothered with you,
Because you're holding them accountable to what they
making
signed
them
up for.
accountable. Yeah.
My husband told me he had a supervisor that always told him, I don't fire people. People fire themselves. She's like, it's not me.
That's true.
You
That's true.
fired yourself. Just depends on the way you look at it.
Hmm.
So you've dealt with all these different businesses and business people, business owners, to be their advocate, especially in
Hmm.
sociology. Can we
Hmm.
talk about a little bit about what you all offer for the small businesses? What kind of resources?
Yeah. So as I said, my business partner and I have been representing businesses for, decades between us. And we found that businesses, again, were always just one mishap, a bad lawsuit away from going out of business because they didn't know how to use the various kinds of resources that were available. They didn't know how to identify them. So,
Mm-hmm.
what we have done in a sociology is to put world class resources in the hands of small businesses at an affordable rate. I mean, for instance, with respect to major medical, there may be a one or two or even a three-person business. They really can't afford to provide major medical, the regular major medical on the ACA, to their employees because it's expensive because they're only three people. But what if they were put into a pool of 50,000? Now, the risk is being spread across a really large number, and the cost for the premium are going to go down. The
Mm-hmm.
same is true with respect to any kind of supplemental benefit that would fill the gap that major medical doesn't cover. The larger the group, then of course the lower the price.
Right.
Businesses also need legal help, but they always wait until they're in trouble before they get it. So if they had a prepaid legal plan that they could use, have essentially a lawyer on retainer to look at the contracts before they sign them, or to assist them in getting over some of the issues that face businesses that they're kind of surprised with. For instance, sometimes a landlord, may insist that a one-person firm have workers' compensation, even though they're the only person there. I mean, there are a lot of little things like that they don't know. Wouldn't it be great to talk to somebody so that you can get
Awesome.
sort of the lay of the land to make
Yeah.
sure that you know what licenses you need, what kinds of things do you need to have in reserve so that your business can survive? Our tagline is that the tools of business life, insurance, legal, planning, that those are probably greater than the tools of your trade. Because the individual business person is an expert at whatever they do, be
Mm-hmm.
it real estate, be it bakery, being a hairstylist, they're experts at that. But it's those other tools of business life, knowing how to use insurance to leverage your business, how to
Mm-hmm.
protect your business, having a lawyer to answer questions for you, to read your contracts before you sign them. Those are the things that they're not necessarily good at and wouldn't know how to really access, even if they could. They don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
So, what a sociology does is it puts it all in one place. We're
Makes
looking
sense.
at, in fact, we met at the Orland Park
Yes.
Chamber of Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be talking with them, but we already are partners
Fingers
with the
crossed.
Morgan Park, the Morgan Park, I'll call her and tell her, the Morgan
Yeah.
Park Beverly Hills Business Association
Mm-hmm.
and the 95th Street
Oh
Association.
wow.
They're
Okay.
already our, we're assisting their members in whatever it is they need. It starts with just a consultation. This is not a one size fits all. We do not charge you for the
The
consultation.
consultation.
We get paid if you buy something that has a commission, but it's the information that we think is the most important. And in addition to those kinds of things, we also have a website that you can literally get 200,000 discounts.
That
Is it
is
business machines? Is it a
crazy.
trip to Disney? So it's all in one place. It's called a sociology. And I am so very excited that this is starting to take off wonderfully, and we'd like to help anybody who's interested. Yeah, so call the director.
I will.
Park and tell her.
Like, girl, get us in here. I am so just, this is such it's refreshing because small businesses usually lack resources because they don't know who to talk to, what circles to be in, and just to be able to have a one-stop shop of guidance. I think that is very is valuable. And so I just love you. Thank you so much. I'm just saying. Thank you so much for coming to share today so people can see that it is possible. You have faith, believe. It won't be easy, but it'll be worth it. We're not going to focus on the closed door. We're just going to turn our attention to the open door. And I think we can use that in every aspect of our lives and in every business. So thank you so much. And I can't wait to work with your company. I will definitely be calling.
Well, thank you, Lindsey, for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Okay, I am going to let you go, and we'll talk soon.
All right, then.
If you like this podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram. Like us on Facebook. And follow us on the Twitter.